Well, thank you very much for your wonderful introduction, and you have saved me some time. I promise you, Wendy, that I will not take too much time in my presentation. We were told to make it very brief. I thank you for talking about His Excellency Issam Faris, who himself deserves to be recognized and to get an award from the people around here. But let me say that this award gives me a deep sense of gratification, gratitude, of course, and a sense of empowerment, as well as humility. I am personally touched, and I believe that being in the company of such participants, as well as such distinguished recipients, is also a humbling occasion for me. But this is also of double significance. First of all, because of the Middle East Institute, and I would like to thank Ambassador Chamberlain for her work. I would like to thank also Katie Seeley. Where's Katie? For her tremendous work and for making this happen. It's not easy to reconcile a very difficult schedule for so many people, and she certainly did a superb job, so I would like to recognize that. But the Middle East Institute has always been a pioneer, actually, and a pace setter. And a long time ago, it recognized the imperative of communication, and not just any communication, but communication that would lead to knowledge, that would generate knowledge, and knowledge that would lead to greater awareness. And greater awareness, of course, would always generate a sense of responsibility. And hopefully, this sense of responsibility would be translated into action. All of this is the essence of genuine, positive, and constructive engagement. And in doing that, of course, maybe inadvertently and maybe consciously, you have given voice to the silenced. I don't want to say voiceless. We do have a voice, but quite often we are silenced. You have given validation to the narrative of the Palestinian people and the many narratives of the region that have been either misunderstood or distorted, misrepresented, stereotyped, and labeled for so long, and people who have been excluded from the global conversation. And you have made sure that they are there. And to be realistic, I'm positive that the motivations have not always been entirely altruistic or idealistic, but mutual interest, because I think the outcome has served both well. The conviction that informed and intelligent policy is based on taking responsible decisions, and these responsible decisions, of course, would serve both sides of the conversation or dialogue. And this is the language of common humanity. And this commonality, of course, is what the Middle East Institute so long ago has decided to serve. And Issam Faris, as you have heard, embodies those principles that shape reality in an integrated and holistic manner. And within the framework of such a comprehensive vision, we see the interaction of education and the intellect, of policy and political decision-making or responsibility, good governance and democracy, as well as entrepreneurship and economic endeavors. We see a dedication to human rights and the pursuit of a just peace. All these things are driven by those values that imbue life with meaning as well as with value. And this generosity of spirit is the true instrument, the driving force of positive change and commitment. And I'm truly grateful to be the recipient of an award that bears his name. Thank you. And now for the tough message. The tough message is that these are difficult times indeed, and we are all facing enormous challenges, whether in the region, with the Arab Spring or the Arab Awakening or the Arab transition. A period of transition, as we know, that is characterized by instability, and that can be quite painful and can be quite unpredictable, of course. And the pendulum could swing to extremes. But any period of transition is certainly not that comfortable or easy for those who have resisted change for so long, or those who have been held captive in very rigid modes and systems. And within that, we see that the Palestinian question has been either marginalized or has taken second place in the face of such pressing issues that needed to be addressed. In Palestine, more than 21 years ago, we embarked on a negotiating process, and a process that had more to do with the technicalities of procedure and process rather than with the substance of peace. And so for the sake of a process, we have lost sight of its substance and of the objective, which is supposed to be a just peace. Unfortunately, for the last 21 years, we have seen a process for its own sake used as a cover for Israeli impunity and, of course, for Israeli unilateralism, where it has, in a sense, become its own worst enemy in that it is undermining its very objective and destroying the two-state solution, as well as the prospects for peace. And now we are seeing, at the end of this process, a situation where more land has been expropriated or stolen. We have seen an apartheid wall built throughout Palestine and on Palestinian land. We have seen Jerusalem annexed and transformed. We have seen a situation of siege. And of course, in Palestine, the siege is not just territorial. We have a territorial siege, an economic siege. We even have a political and a legal siege, the last of which is an attempt at preventing us from going to the UN. And we believe that going to the UN is a conscious decision by the Palestinians in order to send a message of hope to people that this failed process and Israeli violations are not our destiny, that there are alternatives that are positive, constructive, moral, legal, human, peaceful, that the alternative to this failed process is not violence, but rather a multilateral approach based on international law, whereby our land would be recognized as occupied territory, not as disputed territory up for grabs, where our enormous historical compromise of accepting to create our state on 78% of historical Palestine would be recognized as the borders of the state of Palestine, where Jerusalem would be addressed as the capital of Palestine. And therefore, we would embark on talks or a process that has substance and credibility and legality in order to negotiate these outstanding issues, but without addressing or negotiating away our rights and without giving Israel the cover and the immunity to continue to act outside the law and above the law. And we believe that it is time that the international community addresses this issue in a responsible, concerted manner, rather than in a way in which the strategic alliance between the US and Israel has tainted the pursuit of peace in our region for so long. I also believe that we are undergoing a very difficult period internally, yes, in addition to the state of extreme economic crisis. We also have a very, very painful rift, which is up to us to rectify. And we do need to act very quickly in order to revitalize our democratic system through elections, because all our constituent components of our political system are in doubt if we do not have elections, and we would like to enlist your help in getting us to have those elections as soon as possible. But we also need to hold ourselves and our own system accountable for any human rights violations and any aggression against freedom of expression or freedom of speech. Now, during times of adversity such as these, it is even more imperative that we reach out to each other with mutual reinforcement, and that we persist with tenacity and determination, and to try to create and maintain a space for reasonableness. Reasonableness with a human focus, and for principles and values as operative means towards justice. In the end, I just would like to say that throughout my life, I have actively sought freedom, justice, human dignity, and human rights for a people long maligned, long oppressed, long exiled, and long held captive for no fault of their own. It is my sincere conviction that the redemption of Palestine is the true key, the key to, and the measure of the will and integrity of humanity as a whole. And your commitment and your vision tonight are a testament to your own integrity and humanity. And this is one way in which you have given us all hope. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Articulate, honest words that I hope will echo here in Washington as the President begins his second term. Our final honoree this evening, Mr. Naguib Sawiris, will be presented with the first ever MEI Award for the distinction in civic leadership by Her Excellency Dina Powell. Dina Habib Powell currently is the global head of the Office of Corporate Engagement and president of Goldman Sachs Foundation. In this role, she oversees the global philanthropic efforts of the firm. As she told me before we began dinner, she gives money away, everybody else makes it. She joined the firm in 2007 following a career in the United States government, where I first met her. She most recently served as Assistant Secretary of State for Educational and Cultural Affairs and Deputy Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs. Prior to being confirmed as Assistant Secretary, she served as Assistant to the President for Presidential Personnel under President George W. Bush. Dina is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. She serves as member of the Board of Trustees at the American University of Cairo. She is also founding member on the inaugural board of directors of the American Enterprise Fund, which was created by the economic package to Egypt announced by Hillary Clinton in 2011. So you can see that although she has served the United States with distinction, she has done a great deal in her career to help those in the Middle East. Please welcome Dina Powell.